At 3:47 a.m., a Ukrainian drone operator detected what Russia hoped would remain invisible.
At 3:47 a.m., a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone operator sat in a concealed position 17 kilometers from a narrow highway cutting through open farmland. His thermal imaging display showed nothing. No headlights, no movement, no traffic. He was not searching randomly. He was waiting for heat. Russia was racing against time. 4 days earlier, precision strikes had destroyed 11 Iskander-M launchers positioned in the southern sector near occupied territories. The attacks eliminated nearly 40% of Russia's operational tactical ballistic missile capacity in the region. Moscow could not afford further losses. What remained had to be evacuated before daylight exposed the convoy to satellite surveillance and long-range artillery. The decision was immediate: move the surviving launchers under darkness to fortified positions deeper inside Russian-controlled territory. The convoy was already moving. On a darkened highway 23 kilometers south of the demarcation line, 4 damaged Iskander-M transporter erector launchers advanced with escort vehicles in blackout conditions. Each TL, designated 9P78-1 and valued at approximately $47 million, including the missile, carried a single 9-723 ballistic missile with a 700-kilogram warhead. 2 Tor M2 short-range air defense systems, each costing $25 million, bracketed the formation at front and rear positions. A single R-330H Zytel electronic warfare vehicle, valued at $10 million and mounted on a KAMAZ 6350 truck chassis, traveled in the center of the column. Its jamming systems, broadcasting interference across GPS frequencies and commercial cellular bands within a 12-kilometer radius. Russian commanders understood the risk. Without air cover and moving through contested territory, the convoy was vulnerable to drone strikes. But the alternative, losing 4 irreplaceable strategic weapons systems to morning artillery, was unacceptable. It was not undetected. Minutes earlier, Ukrainian intelligence operators monitoring Russian military communications had intercepted fragmentary transmissions indicating convoy movement. The signals were heavily encrypted, but metadata analysis, timing patterns, transmission locations, frequency shifts provided enough information to narrow the search area to a 40-kilometer corridor. 3 reconnaissance drones equipped with thermal imaging cameras launched from separate positions, each assigned a specific sector. The drones flew at 1,800 meters altitude, well above the effective range of portable air defense systems, but low enough that their thermal sensors could detect heat signatures from vehicle engines and exhaust systems. At 3:51 a.m., the northernmost drone's operator identified 17 distinct thermal blooms radiating against the cold ground. The heat pattern was unmistakable. Heavy vehicles in convoy formation, engines running, moving at approximately 43 kilometers per hour. From Ukrainian command, the assessment was immediate. Thermal signature analysis indicated the convoy included at least 4 large vehicles matching the dimensions and heat profile of Iskander TLs, plus supporting air defense and logistics trucks. The prize was significant. Destroying 4 Iskander launchers would reduce Russia's remaining tactical ballistic missile capacity by another 18%. But the convoy's electronic warfare systems were active, degrading GPS navigation for Ukrainian drones within jamming range. Conventional FPV attack drones, each costing approximately $1,200 and carrying a 3-kilogram shaped charge, would lose navigation guidance before reaching strike distance. Ukrainian operators needed a different approach. If you want to understand how Ukrainian forces turned this technical disadvantage into an operational opportunity, subscribe and stay with us. The plan was to exploit the convoy's movement predictability. Iskander TLs require relatively smooth roads, Their weight of 42,300 kilograms and limited ground clearance restrict off-road capability. Russian forces were following Highway M14, a direct route offering minimal deviation options. Ukrainian intelligence calculated 3 potential choke points where terrain forced the convoy into predictable corridors: a bridge crossing over the Kalmius River at kilometer marker 187, a narrow passage between 2 forested areas at kilometer marker 194, and an elevated highway section at kilometer marker 201. The bridge represented the optimal ambush site. Destroying the lead vehicle would trap the convoy on the span, preventing forward movement or rapid dispersal. At 3:56 a.m., Ukrainian artillery operators positioned 12 kilometers west of the highway received targeting coordinates. Their weapons, 3 Soviet-era 2S-3 Akatsiya 132mm self-propelled howitzers inherited from Cold War stockpiles and maintained at minimal cost, were already in firing position. The systems lacked modern GPS guidance, but Ukrainian forward observers equipped with laser rangefinders and ballistic computers could provide corrections accurate to within 8 meters at this range. The Akatsiya crews loaded high-explosive fragmentation rounds, each shell weighing 43.56 kilograms and capable of creating a lethal fragmentation radius of 47 meters. From the Russian perspective, the route remained secure. Tor M2 air defense radars scanned continuously for aerial threats, their 9 M331 missiles ready to engage targets at ranges up to 15 kilometers. The Zytel electronic warfare system detected multiple Ukrainian drone signals attempting to maintain surveillance, but jamming protocols were degrading their navigation reliability. Russian convoy commanders transmitted status updates indicating expected arrival at the fortified depot within 38 minutes. No alerts, no warnings, no indication of artillery positioning. They were wrong. At 4:03 a.m., the lead Tor M2 system crossed onto the Kalmius River Bridge, a 340-meter span with no shoulder space and concrete barriers preventing lateral evasion. The first Iskander-Tel followed 18 seconds later, its 42-ton mass creating visible stress ripples in the bridge deck. Ukrainian artillery observers transmitted final corrections to the howitzer crews, range 12,400 meters, bearing 087 degrees. Elevation calculated for maximum terminal velocity. At 4:04 a.m., 3 152mm shells left their gun tubes within 1.3 seconds of each other. Flight time was 41 seconds. The Russian convoy continued forward unaware. The first shell struck the bridge deck 9 meters ahead of the lead Tor M2 system. The high explosive detonation created a crater 31 centimeters deep and shattered the concrete surface across a 7-meter radius, but the Tor vehicle's heavy armor absorbed most of the fragmentation. The second shell, arriving 0.7 seconds later, impacted directly beside the lead Iskander-Tel's left front wheel assembly. The shaped fragmentation pattern shredded the tire completely and severed hydraulic lines feeding the steering system. The Tel lurched violently left, its 42-ton mass carrying it into the concrete barrier with enough force to buckle the vehicle's front suspension. The third shell overshot, impacting in the river 23 meters beyond the bridge. Russian convoy discipline held initially. The damaged Iskander-TL remained mobile on 7 functional wheels, its crew attempting to reverse clear of the bridge. The trailing vehicles began emergency dispersal procedures, Tor M2 systems activating countermeasures, support trucks accelerating to create spacing, but Ukrainian forces had anticipated this response, subscribed to see how Russian air defense protocols became their exposure point. At 4:05 a.m., Ukrainian operators launched a coordinated swarm of 43 FPV attack drones from positions 9 kilometers south of the highway. The drones didn't approach directly. That would have driven them straight into the Zytel jamming envelope, where GPS navigation would collapse. Instead, operators flew manual line-of-sight control for the first 4 kilometers, keeping the drones below 200 meters altitude and using terrain masking to avoid Russian radar detection. Only when the swarm closed within 3 kilometers did operators switch to terminal GP guidance for final approach. By then, flight time to target was under 90 seconds, insufficient time for Russian electronic warfare systems to fully degrade navigation before the drones reached strike range. Russian Tor M2 radar operators detected the incoming swarm at 4:06 a.m. The system's 9S-32M acquisition radar identified 27 distinct contacts approaching from the south at speeds exceeding 110 kilometers per hour. Automated engagement protocols activated immediately. Both Tor M2 systems began launching 9 M331 missiles at 4-second intervals. Each missile cost approximately $1.3 million. The Tor systems achieved impressive kill rates initially. 9 drones destroyed in the first 20 seconds of engagement, another 6 eliminated in the following 15 seconds. But the system faced a fundamental limitation. Each Tor M2 carried 8 ready missiles, and reload procedures required the vehicle to halt, extend stabilizers, and execute a 4-minute reload sequence. By 4:07 a.m., both Tor M2 systems had expended their ready magazines. 15 drones had been destroyed, but 28 remained inbound. The air defense systems attempted gun engagement using their 2A45M 30mm autocannons, but the drones' small size, erratic flight patterns, and high closure speeds made manual targeting extremely difficult in darkness. 7 more drones fell to cannon fire, but 21 penetrated the defensive envelope. What followed was asymmetric warfare at its most brutal. A $200 drone struck the already damaged Iskander-TL's missile erector mechanism, its shaped charge punching through the hydraulic actuator assembly and triggering catastrophic pressure loss. The massive erector arm, holding a 3,800 kilogram ballistic missile, collapsed forward uncontrollably, the missile's nose section impacting the bridge deck hard enough to fracture the missile casing. The warhead didn't detonate. Iskander safeties prevented accidental detonation, but the $47 million weapon system was operationally destroyed. 3 drones converged on the northern Tor M2 system simultaneously. 1 struck the radar array housing, obliterating the system's ability to track additional targets. Another hit the missile launcher assembly itself, detonating unused missile propellant in a fireball that engulfed the vehicle. The 3rd drone impacted the crew compartment, killing 2 operators and setting fire to the vehicle's internal systems. A $25 million air defense system eliminated by $3,600 worth of commercial drone technology. Comment below if you think Russian commanders had already lost control at this point. The Zytel electronic warfare vehicle became the next target. 4 FPV drones struck within 8 seconds, 1 hitting the primary jamming antenna array, 2 more penetrating the vehicle's sides, where electronic equipment was densest, a 4th detonating against the KAMAZ truck's fuel tank. The initial explosions didn't immediately destroy the vehicle, but they ignited sensitive electronic components. Within 40 seconds, cascading electrical fires consumed the entire system. The $10 million Zytel burned completely, its jamming signals cutting off abruptly as power systems failed. Without electronic warfare coverage, Ukrainian drone operators immediately regained full GPS navigation capability. The remaining 13 FPV drones in the original swarm pressed attacks against the convoy's logistics vehicles. 2 fuel trucks, each carrying 9,000 liters of diesel, erupted in overlapping fireballs when shaped charges penetrated their tanks. The thermal bloom was visible from 19 kilometers away. 3 support vehicles carrying spare parts, maintenance equipment, and crew supplies were struck and disabled within 90 seconds. Russian personnel abandoned vehicles and sought cover, but Ukrainian reconnaissance drones maintained overhead surveillance, feeding real-time positioning data to additional artillery observers. At 4:11 a.m., Russian commanders made their calculation. The convoy had lost its lead air defense system, sustained critical damage to 1 Iskander-TL, lost electronic warfare coverage, and was trapped on a bridge with burning vehicles blocking both forward and rearward routes. 3 Iskander launchers remained potentially operational, but extracting them required engineering vehicles to clear the bridge, vehicles that would take 43 minutes to arrive and would themselves be vulnerable to continued drone attacks. Moscow transmitted immediate orders: destroy sensitive components on the damaged systems, evacuate personnel, and abandon the position. Russian crews executed demolition protocols with trained efficiency. Explosive charges placed inside the damaged Iskander-TL's guidance computer bay detonated at 4:17 a.m., ensuring classified navigation algorithms and targeting software could not be recovered intact. The destroyed Tor M2's radar systems were similarly rigged, but Ukrainian artillery observers had maintained continuous surveillance. At 4:19 a.m., the 3 remaining Akatsiya howitzers fired a second salvo, this time targeting the 3 intact Iskander-TLs, attempting to reverse off the bridge. The artillery pattern was devastating. 2 shells bracketed the second Iskander-TL, fragmentation shredding its tires and disabling its steering hydraulics. A 3rd shell struck directly beside the vehicle's missile erector assembly, the blast wave warping structural components enough that the erector mechanism froze in partial elevation. The crew attempted emergency procedures, but concluded the system was non-operational. The 3rd and 4th Iskander-TLs managed to reverse clear of the bridge, their crews executing smokescreen deployment to mask their withdrawal. Ukrainian reconnaissance drones lost visual tracking temporarily, but thermal imaging penetrated the smoke within 23 seconds. The massive heat signatures of the TEL engines were impossible to conceal. If you're following how thermal signatures eliminated Russian concealment options, subscribe for more operational breakdowns. At 4:24 a.m., Ukrainian operators launched their reserve drone wave, 19 additional FPV drones targeting the retreating Iskander launchers. Russian forces responded with small arms fire, several soldiers using AK-12 rifles on full automatic to engage the incoming drones. The desperation tactic achieved limited success. 3 drones were hit by rifle fire and destroyed, but 16 continued inbound. 2 struck the 3rd Iskander-TL's rear axle assembly and fuel tanks, immobilizing the vehicle and igniting fires that forced the crew to evacuate. 3 more drones targeted the 4th TEL, which had gained 600 meters of separation and was accelerating toward tree line cover. 1 drone missed entirely, its operator misjudging closure speed. 2 struck, 1 hitting the TEL's communications array, another impacting near the driver's compartment. The vehicle swerved violently but maintained movement, disappearing into forest cover at 4:27 a.m. Ukrainian command assessed the engagement outcome immediately. 4 Iskander-M launchers intercepted, 1 destroyed by artillery and drone strikes, 2 immobilized and abandoned, 1 damaged, but potentially recoverable by Russian forces. The single Tor M2 system destroyed completely, the second damaged and abandoned. Zytel electronic warfare vehicle destroyed, multiple support vehicles eliminated, Russian casualties estimated at 11 killed, 27 wounded, Ukrainian expenditure approximately 140 artillery rounds at $280 each, $39,200 total, 62 FPV drones at $200 each, $4,400 total, and operational costs for reconnaissance assets. Total Ukrainian cost approximately $127,000. Russian equipment losses approximately $157 million in destroyed or disabled systems, not including the strategic value of 4 Iskander launchers removed from operational service. By sunrise at 6:03 a.m., Russian recovery teams approached the abandoned vehicles under heavy air defense cover provided by Su-35S fighters maintaining combat air patrol overhead. Ukrainian forces did not contest the recovery operation. 3 of the 4 Iskander TLs were already destroyed or disabled beyond field repair, and the damaged systems would require months of depot-level maintenance before returning to service. More critically, the engagement had forced Russia to commit scarce air defense and recovery assets to contested territory, assets that could not simultaneously protect other vulnerable positions. The strategic consequences extended beyond immediate equipment losses. Russia's surviving Iskander-M inventory in the southern operational sector had been reduced from 15 functional launchers to 7 in less than 1 week. Each remaining launcher now required permanent air defense coverage and electronic warfare support during any movement, drastically limiting operational flexibility. Ukrainian intelligence had demonstrated the ability to detect convoy movements through thermal surveillance, coordinate multi-domain strikes combining artillery and drones, and exploit the gap between Russian electronic warfare range and FPV drone terminal guidance distances. Russian military logistics throughout the region contracted immediately. Subsequent supply movements occurred only under comprehensive air defense umbrellas or in small, dispersed packages that reduced efficiency but minimized catastrophic losses. Moscow's doctrine assumed that expensive air defense systems and electronic warfare platforms would protect high-value assets like Iskander launchers during movement. The assumption proved incomplete. Ukrainian forces demonstrated that overwhelming, inexpensive attack drones could exhaust sophisticated air defense magazines, that thermal imaging could defeat electronic warfare jamming, and that artillery coordination could exploit the brief chaos created by drone swarms. The cost asymmetry was profound. $157 million in Russian equipment losses versus $127,000 in Ukrainian expenditure represented a cost exchange ratio exceeding 1,200 to 1. Comment below what part of this operation surprised you most. What should Russian forces have done differently to protect this convoy? This engagement revealed a fundamental shift in battlefield economics. Traditional military calculations assumed that expensive, sophisticated systems would dominate cheaper, simpler weapons. But when inexpensive drones can be produced at scale and coordinated through networked command systems, they create targeting problems that overwhelm even advanced air defenses. The Tor-M2's missiles were individually superior to every drone they faced, but 8 missiles cannot defeat 43 drones. Electronic warfare systems that cost millions can be neutralized by thermal imaging sensors immune to GPS jamming. Strategic weapons worth tens of millions per unit become liabilities when their movement requires exposing them to environments where $1,000 drones operate freely. Sometimes the convoy you're trying to save becomes more expensive than the mission it was meant to support, and sometimes thermal signatures betray what encrypted communications protect.